Hey everyone, Dan at Ochoco Bushcraft. Well, today we're talking about what I call the trifecta of bushcraft, the perfect combination of bushcraft tools to have with you out here. Some type of a hatchet, maybe in the winter you might want to carry an axe, especially if you're up in a northern environment. But for me, I've never needed more than a hatchet, easy to always carry on my belt, a saw, and a knife. The ultimate trifecta of bushcraft. Having those three tools with you out here in the woods, in the wilderness, when you're doing bushcraft, wilderness survival, even just camping, having fun, is just, it just makes life so much more enjoyable and easier. Each one is designed for specific tasks. Sawing through poles is easiest with the saw. Chopping fat wood out of a stump is easiest with the hatchet, and carving pot hooks and different things around camp is easiest with a knife. There's an advantage to each tool. You don't use a screwdriver instead of a crescent wrench, and you don't use a socket set instead of a pair of wire cutters. Each tool is designed for specific purpose, and they don't have to be big and heavy and bulky either. The three that I carry, I'll show you mine here, and then we'll go out and we'll just play with each and do a task with each and see how they all complement each other. But they don't have to be, big and heavy and bulky. My two favorite saws to carry are the Bahco or the Silky Pocket Boy Outback edition. Both are light, compact, and do all the sawing that I need out here. My two favorite knives to carry and that I recommend, and everything I'm showing you is what I use, have been using out here, and put my stamp of approval on. The Ochoco bush knife, which each one is custom made. The blade design is the same, 90-degree spine, spear point, but you can choose your own handles if you want elk horn, stag, a different type of wood, maple, whatever. My other favorite is the Esee PR4. Again, it has the 90-degree spine, handles from the knife connection. Just an awesome bushcraft knife. And hatchets, I've used the Gransfors Bruk Wildlife hatchet for years. And just recently, you've seen in my videos, switched over to the Gransfors Bruk Hand hatchet because I found that it is even more useful for me than the wildlife hatchet. Let me pause you guys for just a second. I just want to show you how easy it is to carry these tools out here. Now, my own custom leather maker here in Prineville, Painted Hills Custom Leather, I'll put their contact info in the description, can make you sheaths, belt attachments, etc. for any of this. But here's how I'm spending my day most times when I'm out in the woods. I've got my hatchet right here. This little belt holder is on Amazon from Review Outdoor Gear, as well as the little blade cover, the little sheath. So I just pop that on one side of my belt, and it's extremely comfortable. It's lighter than having a big knife hanging here. I still have my Esee Hungless 2 out here with me. It's on the side of my pack right now. Sometimes I might switch over to it if I'm just going on a hike. But for the most part, hatchet right here on the belt. Other side, folding saw, leather pouch. Again, You can get your own custom leather maker. There's places on the internet, Amazon, Etsy and stuff that sell different types of saw sheaths. And my Ochoco bush knife, which is designed by Ochoco Bushcraft and Mark of Sagebrush Customs, who sadly is no longer with us. This sheath is a new design that I just had made like 2 weeks ago at Painted Hills Custom Leather. So it's designed to fit around the shape of the blade. So it'll tuck down in there nice and tight, and that way it won't fall out, like so. So there it is. This is how I spend my days out here. There's very little weight on my belt. I don't notice it. I'm going to go for a walk. I'll throw a little shoulder bag, sling bag or something as I go out and explore with water, some snacks, and some basic gear in it. But on my belt, hatchet, knife and saw, whatever I need, it's right here at hand, ready to go. Put it away. I don't have to dig anything out of a pack, anything out of a bag. It's right here at hand. I got a ferro rod in this pocket, and so I've got fire. All I need is some water, some snacks, a few survival items if I want, and I'm good to go. So with all of that being said, guys, and again, I'll put in the description where you can get these, what I'm carrying, how to contact my local leather maker if you'd want them to make you a sheath or something, review outdoor gear on Amazon for you guys. So let's just play with some of this stuff for a few minutes and just see how wonderful each tool works its own specific task and how well they complement each other. Saw, Silky Pocket Boy. Easiest done with the saw. Ochoco bush knife. Easiest for carving a tent stake, the knife. Chopping fat wood out of a stump, hatchet. Nice big piece of rich fat wood for getting my fire going. So again, as you saw earlier, I showed you, I've got all three tools on my belt. Call it a Bushcraft handyman's belt. I got my hatchet right here on one side, my saw and a knife on the other side, and then I got a backup folding knife that's in my pocket. Today I happen to be carrying the Victorinox Ranger with the wood handles, so that gives me a backup knife blade, locking, backup saw, as well as some other tools that I might want to use. But as far as having this trifecta on me when I'm out here, I don't have to pack my pack because they're not big bulky items that need to be strapped to my back. All three of these items weigh very little. The Ochoco bush knife is a very lightweight, extremely durable knife that I highly recommend. You know, as again, this is mine and Mark from Sagebrush Customs design, and we're going to use it again here in just a minute. Either the Bahco or the Silky Pocket Boy Outback edition, you can't go wrong with either one. I've used the Bahco for years and years and have absolutely no complaints. My main reason of switching to the Pocket Boy Outback edition is just on fat wood and most of the stuff I cut out here. It's faster, so it means less work, less time. And as far as the hatchets go, the Wildlife hatchet is a great hatchet, but I have found just recently as I switched over to the hand hatchet that I don't need the longer handle. Most of the time I use my hatchet, I'm actually batoning with it, pounding in tent stakes or stakes that I've made to hold up a reflective firewall, and any chopping I'm doing is just small enough to where I don't need anything bigger. But this has become probably my most used tool. I've been enjoying this so much. I think I've been using it more than anything else. So you can get all three, wear them on your belt out here. I said you can get attachments on Amazon. You can get custom leather sheaths made from my own leather maker and have the perfect trifecta with you at all times. Somebody's probably asking, well, what's my personal recommendation? Well, you can't go wrong with any of these. The Esee PR4 by itself with the factory handles costs just a hair over $100 on Amazon, and I highly recommend it. Some people like the factory handles. I just happen to like the knife connection handles. They fit my hand better. The Ochoco bush knife is going to cost you more depending on what kind of handles you want on it. It could run you from $175 up to $250, just depending on what material you want your handles made out of. Both have the 90-degree spine, which we're going to try out here in a minute. So you can't go wrong with any of those. As far as hatchets go, I know there's cheaper options, but I have brought some of those out here, like the Gerbers and so forth, and in their performance, in how quick the edge goes, I don't have a budget recommendation. I'm sorry, guys. I can only put my stamp of approval on something that I am actually willing to carry and use myself. And I had no luck with lesser expensive hatchets. Doesn't mean you might not find one. I haven't tested every brand, obviously, but for my money, the Gransfors Bruk is just, there is no better hatchet. So let's do one more thing here. I showed you how each one works best for its own task. You know, the saw works best for sawing. The hatchet works best for a chopping task. And when we need to carve something, we go to the knife. Let's put all three together to perform one task. Okay, here's an example of how all three tools work together to get fire. They all complement each other. Let's go back to our stump here. Okay, I'm going to saw into the side. So there's our saw. That's going to make it easier for me to baton down. Let me grab a baton. That's going to make it easier to baton down and peel off some chunks of fat wood. So look at that. Beautiful piece of fat wood. Rich with resin. So there we used our saw to make the work for our hatchet easier. And now we'll just switch over to our knife. I'm going to take this outside edge off. I want to make some little fat wood pieces for building a log cabin fire. But here's where our knife shines. 90-degree spine on the Ochoco bush knife, as well as the Esee PR4. And look at all them shavings. All them fat wood shavings. Now we're going to make that a little bigger. Just make me a nice pile of fat wood shavings here. And using the blade of my knife, I'm going to get a few curls. You guys can see that. I'm getting some tiny little curls to put a little bit bigger material in here. So that gives me some bigger material. Burn a little longer. Some more curls. Okay. So I need that. And then my ferro rod. And there we go. So we saw how each one works best for an individual task. sawing and chopping and carving. Now we see how all three work together to complete a task. Sawing into the side of this with our saw made it much easier to baton our hatchet down and pry off pieces. Trust me, if it's not sawed or chopped into the side, and the saw is easier than chopping, it's a lot harder to get these pieces out. So then once we have our fat wood out, we can use our knife, the 90-degree spine, to make shavings, to strike our ferro rod, and our blade to make some fine curls, so that we can get ourselves fire. So there it is, guys, what I call the trifecta of bushcraft. Again, I'm out here every week, multiple times a week, year-round, regardless of the weather, in the rain, in storms, in the middle of winter, in the heat of the summer. And this combination, this trifecta, is just proven itself time and time again over the years to be the absolute perfect combination. And if you look back at some of the old timers like Kephart and Nessmuck, they always had a hatchet, they always had a knife. The only reason I believe they didn't have some type of a saw on their belt like this is because the technology did not yet exist. I would honestly believe if I could travel back in time and hand one of these folding saws to both of them and say, here, try this out. The first time they sawed a pole, they'd say, this is going on my belt too. So maybe you've just been using a knife or a knife and a saw. You haven't used the hatchet as part of it. Give the trifecta a try. Try using all three of them for different tasks, and I think you'll find that having all three with you, especially if you do a simple setup like I've got on my belt, to where they're all at hand. I never have to go back to my vehicle, back to my truck, back to my backpack, because they're all three at hand, is just makes life out here not only simpler but more enjoyable. If you like doing bushcraft and you like, you know, using the tools of bushcraft, then you're going to have more fun out here, besides things just being easier with that trifecta. So Dan at Ochoco Bushcraft, hope you enjoyed this, guys. I would love to hear if you have a trifecta. I would love for in the comments you to share what your brands are, what your favorite trifecta is. And just thanks for watching and supporting the channel. If you haven't, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Take care, everybody. Have a great time out in the wilderness this summer.